Hey everybody, wanted to try something different. Hopefully we'll see how it goes, but I think it might be helpful to send a midweek video every week and just kind of summarize in 3 to 5 minutes the text that we went through the previous Sunday, and just to kind of flesh it out a little bit more, summarize it, and then see what applications we can use midweek to be obedient. So this past week was Christ in Culture number 3, and we looked at the what we call Family on Mission, and we looked at the source material of where that idea comes from. So we use that language a lot because language shapes your culture. If you have a common language, you have common ideas. And so the more we use that language and the more we know what it means, it's just going to shape who we are. And so we looked and saw that from the Old Testament to the New Testament, the theme of the Bible seems to be summed up well in this idea of covenant and kingdom. Covenant meaning two parties being bound and becoming one party. So a promise, like a marriage. And then kingdom is like a dominion, to cultivate and grow. It's a So this is the idea that God pursued a covenant with us to make us one with Him, and then gave us a kingdom, something to go and do. And so we summarize that a little bit further by using the language of relationship and responsibility. God desires a relationship with us at great cost to Himself, because sin separates us from Him, and yet He took away our sin so we could have a relationship with Him again. And then He's given us a responsibility. And yet again, we simplified it by saying God gives us an identity and a purpose, which is just ginormous, that we have a purpose and we can know who we are in this life today. And then we summarize that again to say that it looks like the business that God is on from the Old and New Testament is creating a family and sending them on mission. And as we process that and think about that in the life of the gathering church, we saw that Jesus, when He's engaging the lost, when He's engaging the world, just like we want to be doing, what He does is He redefines family. Let me read you this verse from Mark 3:31 through 35. It says, "And His mother and His brothers came, and standing outside, they sent to Him and called Him. And the crowd was sitting around, and they said to Him, 'Hey, Jesus, your mother and your brothers are outside seeking you.' And He answered them, 'Who are my mother and my brothers?' And looking around at those who sat around Him, He said, 'Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God, he is my brother and sister and mother.'" And Jesus was not downplaying His family and not disregarding or dishonoring His family, but yet He's redefining family. Sometimes we use the language and say it's not so much by bloodline, but as by faith line. So Jesus, what He does is He takes these somewhat, maybe we would say low class, but unsuspecting men, these Jewish men, one a zealot, tax collectors, and He's spending time with people, but He's adopting them into His family. He's creating a new family. And they eat together, and they walk around together, and they go to the temple together, just like we go to church together, and yet they also live their lives together. He teaches them what it means to pray, and He teaches them what it means to love the disenfranchised, and He teaches them what He should expect from religion, and exposes the hypocrisies of it, and He shows them the genuineness of love and of His Father's kingdom. And He's constantly flipping these ideas in their head until they begin to get it and respond, and it takes a long time. And in the same way, what we said this past Sunday is that our mission is to join Jesus in adopting people into our lives and then showing them what it looks like to walk in the kingdom. So we're adopting family and going on mission with them. We are showing them their identity and showing them their purpose. And all of this doesn't just mean that we're teaching them things. We're ultimately teaching them what God is like. And the reason why I wanted to just update you on this is that I want this to be kind of saturating in our minds. This is the work we're on. We don't want to downplay church. We love Sunday worship. We love worshiping through song. And yet, we're not aiming our church to be like a business, like where we would just market to people that we have all these amenities that they can come, and that might bring them into the kingdom. And it might. But what we want is to engage them in a relationship and draw them into the kingdom using every single one of us. So not using just our fantastic building and our fantastic worship leaders and our fantastic, leadership. And all this are great. We want to be like Christ. And a good way to maybe say it, and I need to wrap up here, is that we're not necessarily trying to get our neighbors to church. That's great, and we hope that they do come. But the idea of Family on Mission is to get the church to the neighbors. Get the church to the neighbors. And so we love you. Hope you continue to just seep in these texts and think about how Jesus made disciples and try to live our lives in a Christ-like way to engage the lost, while joining on Sundays in worship and encouraging the body, and then every week, every day, living our lives and designing our lives in a way that engage the lost, that adopt them into our family, and teach them the ways of the kingdom and the Father, just like Jesus did. We love you guys. I'll see you Sunday. I'd love your feedback to know if this is helpful. If it is, we might continue it. If it's not, let me know, and I will stop bothering you. Love you all. Praying for you today, and I'll see you soon.